Quality is a lot better. Is buffering. I'll tell you what the settings are in a moment. So I upped the bitrate to 5000. The resolution's 1080p. When I did the speed test, it was 94 download, 7 upload. So the speed test is the fastest it's been since I've been here. Okay, bitrate's gone down to 500. 395. 300. 264. 231. 200. 177, 135. Bitrate's as low as I've seen it, 135. 155 is climbing now again. Okay, 118. 104. 79. 135, 155, 177. Okay, it's timing now. Okay, let me know if it buffered at all there, or if it's dropped. You said the quality went badly, but did it drop altogether? Skipping and quite pixelated now, but not buffering or dropping. skipping. Okay, so skipping, I guess, is sort of buffering. Okay, bitrate's gone way up. We're in a corn. 2 ingwes. Okay, let's just stop here. They might be mating. When they're born?
Yeah.
There's 2 there, huh? So maybe they're mating. I think we've just stumbled across 2 mating leopards. Give me a break. I'm just asking James if we can go live. I'll zoom in now. Okay, let's see what he says. Gonna zoom in. So I was actually zoomed in. I think when I went into WhatsApp, it zoomed out automatically. How's it looking for you guys? Hiding behind the ridge there. The males are usually a bit more skeptical than the females. Mafazi, that one, eh?
Yeah, Mafazi.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not going to move at all. Hopefully James gets back to us. Can you guys see? How's the stream looking from your end? Go for it, James says. And the dove, did you hear that? We can go live. She's calling. Maybe it's a cub. It's a cub, eh? Maybe it's not mating. It might be a female of the cub. She's calling it. So it's maybe the cub that's hidden there. It's a big cub. Can you guys just acknowledge whether you hear me? We can go live. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
But what's happening with that other leopard? You're going to have to figure this out, my man. Okay, let's see him in again. You guys just message me when I'm live. Okay, there we go. Folks, so welcome back to the Timbavati Game Reserve. It's nice to have you. We're still testing here. We've been testing privately. And while we were testing, we bumped into at least 2 leopards. The one in frame now. And the one hid away. She was just calling. So we're not 100% sure who the other one was. Initially, the one was kind of ducking behind the ridge behind her, and I thought the second one might be a male, and I assumed that they may be mating, but she has called a couple of times now, so it may be her large-ish cub, but we're keeping our distance, and we're just waiting to see if the second leopard. So we've zoomed in a bit. We are probably about 40 meters away from her. And she seems quite relaxed. You can see her tail twitching a bit. And you can see that white bit facing upwards. I don't know if you can hear the francolins, the birds going tick, tick, tick. So very often when leopards are spotted and animals alarm call at them, things like squirrels and mongooses and francolins, they like to put their tail up like that, and the white side of the tail is exposed, and they say, I know you've seen me, I'm not going to try and hunt you. And it's almost a plea for them to stop alarm calling. Yes, this is live. So we are currently live. And it is 7:20 here in the morning. Million. What? Can you see if my other phone is there? Pen. The phone. On the board? No. No, okay. Don't worry about it. So every now and then, okay, I'll read affects the stream. Okay, there we go. Dorothy from Scotland. Hi, Dorothy. So we've got a bit of a relay going, eh? Hopefully no broken telephone, but wow, so cool, so exciting. It is indeed. I'm very excited. There is more than just this leopard in frame here. We're unsure of the status of the other leopard. This is a female that we have in frame here. When we arrived, there was a second leopard, and it quickly ducked into the bush. At the time is if it's a territorial dispute and the leopards are fighting, if it's mother and cubs, or cub, or if it's leopards mating, or sometimes, and you see it more often with the females, if they make a kill and there's a male in the area, he might come and try and steal the kill from the females. She's been pretty relaxed since we've been here. The second leopard just ducked out of view, and females do tend to be a little bit more relaxed around vehicles than males. So, you know, when I first saw the second leopard, it looked pretty large, and I only got a glimpse of it, and I thought maybe it was a male, and that's why I ducked away. But it might also be her cub. You know, if she's got a cub, you know, these leopards in this area aren't all that used to vehicles, because this is not a commercial operation. It's a private farm in the Timbavati. There's a second leopard there, just behind her. See its head popping up out of the grass. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to keep quiet for a second, let it get a bit closer.
Look at this one.
Two, yeah, in the board.
Yes.
See, the second one is just keeping a close eye on us, so we're going to not make any sudden movements. You can see his tail, that's a he, it might not be, but his tail twitching a bit. That's a good sign that it's yawning. They are communicating between each other a bit, so it might be mother and cub. Let's just see what happens here. Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're just going to sit tight here for now. It looks like this female's going to walk past us. The male's take. Actually, I'm not 100% convinced just yet that that's a male, but it might be. We'll just, once we're sure, we'll commit to it. I have mis-ID'd leopards in the past. So, yeah. And a born. They're going into the bush there. I'm going to try and zoom in. But just actually lost visual. Let's go a little bit forward. Just beach on, yeah. There you go. Just like that. Okay, whoa. Right. Como? Okay, so it's a male that's got into the bush. Well, I'm calling him a male for now. It might not be directly behind the female now under the stump. Look at her, tail up, advertising to everyone, don't shout at me. I know you can all see me. Okay, so the male's just taking a parallel route in the bush. We're going to call him a male for now. Just to distinguish between the two. Now he's gone kind of completely away from us. I think we're just going to stick with the female. Okay, let's maybe follow her, huh? You can see her tail up. She's looking over her shoulder towards the male. Nocturne sneaky catch, watch out, bro. My daughter lap side, ne? Yeah. Millions convinced that that's a male that side. Yeah. Should we go? Let's follow the female. Little picture, yeah. Like so, we are keeping our distance. We don't want to put too much pressure on these animals. Unfamiliar, there's cats in this area, and it would be nice for everyone if they get relaxed around the vehicles. And the best way to do that is to give them a lot of space. They do look pretty, although the female looks pretty relaxed, but it's good for the second leopard who's not as relaxed to see how relaxed the female is while we're here, because he then may not perceive us as a threat. So, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Stop. Okay. So you got a view of the male. We just lost the male. There he is. He's gonna cross the road in front of us, I think. So we're just gonna sit tight here. See, there's a Swainson spearfowl in the road there. You might start shouting at him when he crosses. So he's going to feel vulnerable when he gets into the open there, so he might jog across the road. There we go. Yeah. Okay, let's go forward a bit. So, just for the viewers and for everyone here, we're not going to follow these leopards through the bush right now. We'd rather let his experience be a good one of it. He's seen that she's been okay with us. So what we're going to do is, he's obviously a little bit shy of the vehicle, so we're going to leave them be and not So yeah, thanks for watching these 5 minutes with us. Yeah, I think we're just going to keep on driving. But it's brilliant to see 2 leopards in one spot, and hopefully you see some more. We did hear lions roaring in this area, so we're going to keep on going. Million, I think, and then let's just show you Million quickly. He's been driving me around, helping testing. Thanks, Million. Say hello to everyone out there.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we're going to leave them be. It's been a great sighting for us all. We hope you've enjoyed it. Let's get them relaxed for everyone. So as mentioned earlier, we are testing. Whoa, that was interesting. Aardvark. Okay, we're not going to climb out here, but I saw a hole dug in the road. It looked like an aardvark had been digging there. Have you ever been? Let me see if I can just get to some of these messages. Hadari watching from Mexico in Jaguar and Puma land. Excellent. I'd love to see a Puma or a Jaguar. Sneaky cat, watch out, bruh. Yeah, I am watching out. Have you ever been attacked on your car by any wild cat in Africa? No. I have seen footage of 1 or 2 cats get into vehicles. But I'll just describe those events quickly to put it into perspective. The one occasion, or the one video that I saw, was of a leopard being released right in front, and we're poking it through the cage to try and get it to leave the cage. And the leopard did not enjoy being poked the vehicle and attacked the guy inside the vehicle through the window, but they managed to get the window up and he ended up surviving that attack. But of course that leopard was provoked and didn't understand what the hell was going on. So yeah. Another one I've seen was, and you might have seen it, was a sick leopard that jumped onto a vehicle, and that's the only other one I've ever heard of. And yeah, but it happens every single day, thousands of vehicles, and you just don't hear of it. That's one occasion where it was provoked, and another occasion with a sick leopard that just tried to get onto the vehicle. And yeah, but in both cases no one was hurt badly. They're kind of freak accidents. I think the Million, there we go. Hold on a second, let me get to that message here. Mohammed is one of the staff members at Latest Sightings. He's our blog writer. To everybody at Latest, them have been out on to get out. And I drove up early this morning. Tobias was up early. And yeah, hi to Lynette and Greg and Sarah. Well, thank you for all your help. Hadari asking, has there been sightings of black leopard in Kruger? Not that I'm aware of, but not far from here. There have been reported sightings of black leopard. There have been a few photographs taken in the distance. That was years ago, I want to say maybe 20 years ago. In the Drakensberg mountain range, which as the crow flies is probably about 40 or 50 kilometers from here, outside of the Kruger. And then there have been reports of strawberry coloured leopards in that same area. So where there are rosettes, you know, the little spotty bits, appear sort of strawberry red or strawberry pink in colour. But otherwise I haven't heard of black leopards in the Kruger. Maybe someone else has, but I haven't. We're just going to drive slowly, okay? Cool. You can go a little bit faster, but yeah. Okay, like this is right. Okay, so we're just going to explore a bit. Had a wonderful sighting of these 2 leopards this morning. We had a sighting of a leopard and cub yesterday, and cubs, although we only caught the one on the actual stream. To relax. You know, traditionally or in the past, area, because it's got a history of having private game reserves, those owners be in other areas where there have been plenty of vehicles driving around. But now, as there are more and more commercial operations, the leopard sightings are starting to increase. So it's nice to see. What this area is very famous for is for lions, and in particular white lions. So we're approaching our hyena den site now. Let's see if there's anything here. On our first trip to this den site, I claimed that there was no activity here, and then we came the second time and there were a couple of hyenas here, so it's worthwhile having a look. Anthony Chihuahua, you must be a dad. See some comments saying that signal's dropping in and out. Let's just stop here for a minute. Okay. So let's see if we can communicate with anyone here. Let me know if it's dropping in and out. It's back again. Okay, so we've stopped the vehicle and it seems to have stabilized a bit. We're looking at the den site just behind this marula tree. We don't want to go and park under it because we want to keep signal. But just to the right of the base there, you can hear some brown-headed parrots flying overhead. So just to the right of the trunk, you can see one flying through frame there. That's a brown-headed parrot, the only species of parrot to get in the denning. There's no sign of them right now, but we'll just sit here for a little bit. Maybe if anybody has any questions, I can answer those questions. I am relying on the team back in Johannesburg. Al Bundy, very smooth feed now, that's good. Dove. Okay, let's see this. Dove, you send me a language that I don't understand here. Is that Chinese? Carl Cross asking, is this at Kruger? We're in the Greater Kruger National Park, well, in the Greater Kruger area rather, and we are currently in the Timbavati Game Reserve. So as the crow flies, fences. So whatever you see in Kruger, for the most part, at least at this latitude, be able to see. It's nice to have you with us. Prajwal Joshi, what time is best to travel to Africa, Kruger, and is there any official online portal for booking game drives? So there are many parks in Africa, but since you mentioned Kruger, we're going to speak about Kruger. So Kruger National Park is a national park. You can hire a car and drive to later. And an operator, when I talk about an operator, what I'm just talking about is a guide with an open vehicle. If you rent a vehicle, you cannot rent an open vehicle yourself. Open vehicle with you can advance, and then to the west of Kruger are all the private game reserves. So there are many of them. I want to say hundreds. And at those game reserves, you're going to get a completely different experience. Many of those game reserves, they are allowed to drive off road sensitively at that. In Kruger National Park, you can't. So the opportunity for game viewing is slightly better at the private game reserves. However, they are a lot more expensive than self-driving in Kruger. Depends on what you're interested in seeing. I'm just going to describe some of the different seasons to you, and you can decide which time of year you want to come. If you are interested in kills and fights and the big larger mammals climbing into each other, the best time of year is sort of August, September, which is our late winter. Reason being is we get summer rain, so in winter everything gets very dry, and when everything's dry there's a lot of pressure on the animals, the herbivores. It's not much grazing for them, so they lose condition. They're a bit weaker, and lions and the like are able to take out buffalo when they're a bit weaker. Not only when they're weaker, but that happens more often towards the end of winter. And of course, those animals become few. A lot of the predators hang around those watering points and wait for the animals to come and drink. Everything needs to drink, and they intercept them on the way to animals, lions and leopards, etc., catching animals if you spend time at those water points. Whereas in summer, our rainy season, there's plenty of water around. Now, summer, although kills are happening, the bush is a lot thicker, the grass is a lot taller, there's a lot more leaves, you can't see as deep into the bush, so there are often it's a lot of, and because there's lots of grass, etc., around, it's the time of, lots of the herbivores have their young, so it's a good time to come and see baby things, baby zebras and wildebeests and all those kinds of things, impalas. And of course, because of the abundance, all the migratory birds return for the summer. So there's far more species of birds in the summer. And so that gives you an idea. Summer, you're more likely to see things like snakes and insects and a lot more of the smaller things. Whereas you're not going to see as many of the birds and the smaller things. A lot of the smaller things hide away for the winter. But certainly the larger animals, you might see, if you're into that kind of thing, you might see more kills and animals fighting and such, just because of the pressure, the food and water pressure. Okay, avoid tripper gutter / 666. Do the larger cats react? I must say I've never tried it. I know a lot of guides use laser pointers to point out the stars and when stargazing, but I've never heard of anyone using it to lure a cat or to have a cat chase it around like a house cat. Sagittarius Dad, welcome back. Current temperature, maybe around 20 degrees Celsius. Aflaz, how you doing? Okay, so but yeah, it's been nice to answer your questions. It seems like when you're driving, there's less signal numbers in this area. Okay, so we're here just sitting at a hyena den site, and we've taken the opportunity to answer questions, just because the signal seems to be better when we're stationary. And Nadav, maybe you can relay a message to me whether we won't be able to answer questions as easily. So just in terms of snakes, mamba is one of those very venomous ones that we get here. Mozambique and spitting cobra is another one. Sure. Puff adders, night adders. Some of the larger ones are the southern African pythons. Nadav, I'm just asking, I've been answering some questions here, but should we keep on driving? I don't know if the audience wants to ask more questions, or if we should just keep on driving. They can enjoy the scenery, and then maybe we stop again and answer some more questions at a later point. Okay, so someone's saying, I think let's drive. Okay, Millian, let's go. They're going to drive me into a tree here. How do you remain passionate about the animals when you constantly see them and experience the environment? My dream is to make it to Kruger one day from little old Rhode Island in the USA. Ari, that's very easy to remain passionate about them. Some of the stuff that becomes common just makes you start looking to the smaller things. And it's a bit like a rabbit hole. The more time you spend in nature, the more you notice of animals, and it's just absolutely never ending. We understand so little about nature, and these great wildernesses are fast declining. The human population is massive, and we are continuing to consume more and more and more as the population is growing, and unfortunately many species are becoming extinct daily, actually, just because of human consumption. So it may still run, but eventually that piece did have a job, and eventually the engine breaks down, and we need to start looking at our little planet Earth as one ecosystem that all relies on each other. Birds that we get here in summer migrate from thousands of kilometers to get to the southern tip of Africa. Of course, along the way they need to refuel. So there are many wetlands, which are good areas for birds to refuel. Typically areas that are wet support a lot of life, and birds can then refuel to continue their journey to South Africa. The birds that we see in summer may fulfill a specific role in our ecosystem, but if they cannot get here, then they cannot fulfill that specific site that they made stop over to get to southern Africa. If that gets developed for farming or mining, whatever the case may be, and that might be different areas to help migrations, local and larger migrations, to assist them. But it's a very challenging space, the conservation space. Unfortunately, sadly, it doesn't seem like there's enough effort from governments, corporations and the like to put their time and money into this area. There are people working very hard. There are lots of great NGOs, and some governments are trying to protect these spaces. But the biggest thing we can do for conservation at this point as humans is consume less and try and protect more ecosystems. Basically save habitats for these animals. So that's basically where we're at. But you try and tell people that can barely feed themselves or their children, and there are many people like that in Africa, not only in Africa but all over the world. You try and sell the fact that we need to conserve spaces. It's a very, very complex and difficult topic. Of course, there are people out there, many people in the case of Africa, that are struggling to eat. So, it's a very complex situation. So I don't know if that answers your question. I took it onto a different tangent, but in a nutshell, there's so much going on in nature, it's very easy to remain passionate about it. And because these wilderness areas are becoming so scarce, it's actually an incredible privilege to be out here, and I recognize that and I'm grateful for it. And we decide maybe not a good idea to get into the area where the elephants are breaking down trees. Sometimes they're feeding, but sometimes it's just a grumpy elephant that's pushing over trees because he's grumpy, and we don't want to come across that one. That's the one thing we do have to be careful for when we're in these vehicles. An elephant can easily roll the vehicle, and we are a little bit more wary of them. So we're not going to go and seek out an elephant breaking down trees willy-nilly. Lions, we heard lions roaring this evening. We went specifically to that dam where we saw the leopards because that's where we thought we heard them roaring. And we did see some tracks in the area, but they've obviously moved on. Since the leopards were comfortable enough to be out in the open there, they certainly went to new lions in the immediate area. Shreyas K, where in the Timbavati are you at the moment? Someone from South Korea, hello. Delights loves movies. Greetings from Western Australia. Awesome to have some Aussies. So we are on a farm called Giraffe Farm. So if you know of Giraffe Pride of Lions, that Pride of Lions is named after that farm. So if we're going to bump into lions, it's most likely going to be the Giraffe Pride. Behind the scenes, we run a few that weren't public to try and better these live streams, and it seems like we're getting there. It's a combination of factors that we need to consider. And and Nadav has been working furiously to figure out what settings work, and etc, etc, etc. We've made a few changes to the hardware on the ground here, smooth without interruption. Because if you guys are enjoying this, we'd love to bring you more live streams. We thought we'd go live to the public this morning, just because there were leopards, and we thought it would be nice to share with you all. It was a male and a female leopard. The female is pretty relaxed and the male not so much, but that's quite normal. You know, the males tend to be a little bit more wary than the females. And it was a great occasion for us just to let the male see us in the vehicle, and to let the male see the female being relaxed with us in the vehicle. That helps getting the animals relaxed with vehicles. If he sees that the female's relaxed, then he might relax himself. So it was great from that point of view. Greg Baker, these live streams saved me a pretty good plane ride, so I'll take it. Greg, that's good to hear. But we still do think that you should come over, because the experience in person is absolutely fun when they get here. Things like seeing the stars. In the southern sky we see so much light pollution or any other pollution, so we get to see the stars pretty clearly, which can be quite spectacular. Then there are the smells of the animals, sometimes pleasant, sometimes not so pleasant. Smells of all of the plants that we have around us, the smell of bushfire, of firewood burning. In these camps, when you go to dinner, there's usually a fire of provides a great and the that get burnt have a very unique, specific smell. So there's a lot more to it than these live streams, but we are happy that you are enjoying the live streams. Okay, and then here it looks like thanks, I'm enjoying your driving, haha, and the sites have not noticed any animals yet. So I don't know if you've had to translate that, Nadav. It also looks like a foreign language. I'm not sure what language that is, but if you can understand me, this is very typical of a game drive. There are plenty of animals around us. We may not be seeing them. They might be lying in the long grass. They might be behind these bushes. It's a bit like fishing. You can't see much from on top of the water. Every now and then you do see fishes from above the water, but there's a lot hiding below. And we know there are definitely animals around here. We may not just be seeing them. It's just the way the food chain works. There are generally fewer apex predators, and there's a few more messages coming. Aflaz, you're sticking to the smooth side of the road. That's what I suggested. Aflaz, that is one of the reasons. Thanks for your input. Al Bundy, have any of the vehicles ever broken down in the middle of the road or middle of nowhere? Definitely has happened. I've had it happen to me a few times. And the fear, I think, can be irrational or otherwise. I'm fortunate enough to have grown up in this area, so maybe the fear has gotten less as I've gotten older and more experienced animal behavior more, and recognized when I'm safe and not, and what situations I might be safe and not. But certainly for someone that isn't used to this environment, I imagine that being stranded out in the bush would be a very, very fearful thing. I've had plenty of occasions where we've had to dig vehicles out of the sand because the vehicles have gotten stuck in the sand with prides of lions, some 20, 30 meters away. On one occasion, I got myself stuck in a riverbed without guests. I was just by myself. And there was a young leopard. The reason I went in there because I was following a leopard, a young leopard. I think he was about 18 months at the time. And when I got into the river, I lost communication, and I was trying to let all the other commercial vehicles know where this leopard was. So I reversed a bit to try and get a radio signal. And when I reversed into a hole that an elephant had dug. So no one knew where I was exactly because I was still trying to relay that message. And this leopard was quite relaxed, lying in the sand. I had to climb under the vehicle and dig my way out to this leopard lying. I did keep an eye on him, but I could tell from his body language that he wasn't going to bother me. He just lay there watching me dig myself out. But yeah, I think it happens to people often. Some scenarios may be less fearful than other scenarios. We've had, I think at night it changes a bit. I don't think at night it's, the fear factor answers your question. But in this area, for the most part, there are lots of vehicles, lots of lodges, lots of people in the area. Although in lodges, less action. Okay, Andries de Toy, what are the game drive rates in the Timbavati? So, let's just slow down a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, can drive, just slowly. So the game drive rates are dependent on equipment here. They've let us drive on their farm for the purpose of testing. There are commercial farms in the area, and they can vary in price depending on what accommodation you stay in. Some of them game drives are included, some are not, some are self-catering, some are not. So best is just to go online and do a Google search to get rates. They are typically more expensive than in Kruger National Park because of course they're hiring staff to drive you around and feed you, etc., etc. Of course this is maintained privately, so the rates need to be higher than say in the Kruger National Park. Okay, Evgeny Rylov, we are waiting for the leopard. Evgeny, maybe we'll bump into another leopard, but we left the leopard about, I want to say maybe an hour ago. So maybe we'll see another one. But the leopard was amazing. Leopards, their territories, I'd say, would be maybe about 30 square kilometers, there and thereabouts. They vary in size depending on whether they're along a river or not. But there aren't many. You can see, of course, the female leopards' territories will overlap with those males, and the females' territories will be a lot smaller. So in a sort of 25 square kilometer area, you have the chance of seeing maybe between 2 and maybe 5 leopards, depending on if they have cubs and how much the females have. Have you travelled to other parts of the world for safaris? If not already, please do come to India to see tigers. I guess there are no wild tigers in Africa. Funnily enough, there is a project in the Karoo of all places where tigers, it's basically, I think the idea behind it is because all these natural forests around the area, around the world are being decimated. The idea was to bring some tigers over that live on quite a large reserve. Tiger or two. I would love to see tigers. What an amazing catch. We recently released a video on our latest Sightings Kruger channel of a tiger that was sent to us from India. Absolutely amazing cats. But yeah, just to answer your question, in terms of wilderness areas, I've travelled around southern, central and east Africa. We're doing photographic safaris as a guide. So I'm familiar with some of the more famous parks. You're gonna get it? Okay. Yeah. So just in terms of bordering that in Tanzania is Maremi, Savuti, those sorts of areas. Zimbabwe has actually got amazing areas, but politically it's not as stable as it once was, and I'm not sure how or what the sort of status quo is there in terms of their game viewing and their wilderness areas at the moment. I haven't been there in many years, but up and coming and being one, we're seeing some amazing sightings. We're seeing some amazing sightings coming out of Lowe's and Busy. And Kafui, there's a lot of work being done there. Lure Plains, lots of work being done there. South Luangwa, one of the famous places. Namibia's got amazing. There's great work being done to conserve those areas. Lots of big NGOs that are putting in a lot of effort to conserve these areas, and thanks to people from overseas, actually, lots of folks overseas donating to these NGOs to conserve these wild areas. And some of the NGOs are doing good work in skills development on the ground in these areas. Of course, there are people that reside in these wilderness areas in and around, so it's important that it is beneficial to them too. There's a lot of work being done in that space. Mona Lisa, hello from Nashville, Tennessee. What animal are either of you most wary of? I'm definitely wary. They can be relaxed one minute and then their mood may change the next. And of course it's a very large animal, so if their mood does change for the worse, you don't want to be on the receiving end of an elephant that is upset. So I'm definitely wary of elephants in the vehicle and out of the vehicle. On foot, definitely buffaloes. Buffaloes and elephants, I think, probably mostly. And then, you just don't want to put yourself in a situation where you have to come up against a hippo, or go swimming in a dam such as this one here. You never know, there might be a crocodile there. I'll say something about you. Big brother, look hard. I'm trying to respond to your questions. But the purpose of this is mostly to test the live stream and the equipment we have. Should it come to the where it's funny how lions are so popular. Of the cats that we find here, they're probably the most common. Having said that, since we've been here testing, we haven't seen a single lion. We've seen their tracks. We've seen 4 leopards. Seen a mother and cub. Million saw a second cub, so he's seen 5 leopards. Some hyena dung on the road. Oh no, it's not. Pardon me. It's just actually just some quartz. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to zoom in a bit here. You just get it center of frame. But if you have a look in the distance there, you can see dark. 22 lions. I haven't seen them yet, but that's just second-hand information to me, but I believe, yeah, 22 lions in this area. So that's the northern end of the Drakensberg. So whoever asked about the black leopard earlier, last spotted, black leopard was seen in those mountains there maybe about, I want to say, 20 years ago now. And on the top of that mountain is what's referred to as the high veld. It's much higher altitude than here, and that's for the rest of the country. And where we are right now is referred to as the low veld, which is a much lower altitude. And it's in the low veld that we find South Africa's most famous Big Five game reserves. I'm going to zoom out again. But the sun sets behind those mountains there. It's very beautiful. So I know someone asked earlier what time we had to come for game drives. I also just want to speak about the weather a little bit. In summer it can rain a lot, and when it rains it's very difficult, so it's actually difficult to see. But other than that, the animals don't really like the rain. They're kind of hiding bushes, and in the private reserves you can't off-road all that much because you don't want to damage the swales. So it's more difficult to find them. Of course, the tracks get washed away. And the ways to find animals, commercial operations is to follow animals' tracks and to listen for audio of the animals' alarm calling. And of course, if it's raining, that gets drowned out. So the game viewing is a little bit more tough if you're looking for cats in the summer season, if it's raining. In winter in this area, the weather is incredibly stable. Just about every day is clear skies. You can, and they can get all the way down to 0. But at least you know it's going to be clear skies, pretty stable weather during the daytime. And it's a lot cooler. In summer it can reach 40 degrees Celsius plus in this area. And of course, when it's hot like that, the animals also don't like the heat all that much. They'll go and find a bush to hide in or lie in the shade, and when they're lying flat in the grass like that, it's difficult to find them, and of course they're not very active. Whereas in the winter, they can be active just about throughout the day because it's cooler. And in fact, a lot of the kills you see in these commercial operations in winter is sort of from 9-10 o'clock in the morning onwards. So in summer, lions and leopards do most of their hunting at night when it's cooler, but we actually see a lot decide to go down for a drink of water at that time. And when they start streaming down to the watering points, these cats know the behavior of these animals. They know which game paths they're going to walk onto, where their preferred drinking spots are. So they will go and wait in ambush along from the drinking spots. So that's just a little bit of added information for you. Okay, let's stop here for a minute. Let's just go back. So let's look at that giraffe there. Yeah, please. Okay. Chris Sousa. I'm sorry to say. Okay, well that's fine. I'm sorry to say that I do not have any information on the giraffe pride, or not all that much information on them. This is not my natural habitat. There's some giraffes, a nice small one, mother and calf. So unfortunately, I don't know the giraffe pride all that well. we've just come here. Friends of ours have allowed us, the K's have allowed us to come and test the equipment here. So yeah, I don't know the dynamics of all the leopards and lions in this area. It's been great to have you on Timbavati at Marula Camp and Chimani Mani. We appreciate it, and I'm just going to turn the camera on Million to say goodbye. Thanks for driving us.
Thank you very much. Ne?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
And then from myself,
Yes.
let's go like that. It's nice to see you all and to communicate with you all, and hopefully we can get this sorted so we can have more of these live streams. But thanks for joining us, and thanks for being interactive. And I look forward to more of these if we can get it going. Let us know in the